What's going on YouTube? So of course the Toyota Camry is an iconic vehicle that families have been loving for many years. Now today we have the latest version of the Camry in the hybrid form, and we've been testing it out for the last week. So is this still a great choice in the segment, and should you buy this over the all-new Honda Accord? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's get things started here underneath our hood. So with the hybrid, what are you gonna get? It is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine plus a lithium ion battery pack and electric motor. Total system output on this is gonna be 208 horsepower, so that is gonna be more horsepower than your standard gasoline motor, and that's gonna be paired with an eCVT and front wheel drive only. Now as far as your fuel economy, that's going to be very impressive. 46 miles per gallon combined for most of your trim levels, although it can go up to 52 miles per gallon combined with the LE trim level. But of course, we're going to take this out on the road a little later in the video for our test drive component. But first, we'll close up the hood and take a look at the exterior design. So as you know, the Camry has actually been around for a while at this point, but I have to say the design really has been aging quite gracefully because it still has a very nice and aggressive look to all the models, but especially if you choose one of these sport versions. So today we have the XLE. That's going to be one of the luxury trim levels. So the LE and the XLE are going to have this kind of more subdued look. It still has a very large grille though that extends all the way out here, but you're going to notice things like some chrome accenting that you won't see if you choose the XSE or the SE trim levels, which change up the front design quite a bit. Now we also have the hybrid model that's going to be signified by the blue highlight here on the Toyota badging. Let's come over here to our headlights. Again, you're going to find a dual structure for these. So you have standard LED headlights themselves, but the other elements won't be LED if you choose the LE or the SE trim level. But if you choose one of the X trim levels, that's going to get you adaptive LED headlights with the fancier arrangement. So all the elements, including the turn signal indicator, will be LED. You won't find fog lamps though on any of the models. Now as we move around to the rear design, of course you'll continue to find the signature Camry look. It hasn't really changed this year, but it still looks pretty nice. Up here in the middle, you're going to notice your Toyota badging with the blue tint around it. Camry is going to be spelled out across the back, and if you choose one of these sport trim levels, that's going to get you a small lip spoiler. Now let's go ahead and talk a little bit about our taillights as well. So just like with the headlights, you are going to have two different arrangements for these. We'll go ahead and test out how many elements are LED here with the XLE, because this is one of the more premium trim levels, just like the XSE. So we've got our LED brake light, LED reverse light, and we have an LED turn signal indicator. So when you choose the fancy arrangement, that's going to get you all three of the elements as fully LED. So thumbs up on that. Now as we drop down below, you're going to notice here on the left-hand side, you're going to have one exposed exhaust outlet. Again, if you choose one of the sport trim levels, that's going to give you a dual exhaust setup. Now the main reason why the LE gets better fuel economy than the other trim levels is because it comes standard with 16-inch alloy wheels versus the other models that will have at least 18-inch alloy wheels, including this XLE, as you can see, has a nice contrast finish which pops nicely against the red paint. Now this is a good place for me to mention a new addition to the lineup. That is the SE Nightshade Edition. That's going to give you some unique elements that are going to add to the SE trim level, kind of giving it a little bit of a TRD flair, including having bronze alloy wheels for a very unique look. Now, moving up here to our mirrors, as far as your technology on board, you're going to have heating and blind spot monitoring standard on your X trim levels, and both those features will be optional on your LE and your SE. Here at the side, you'll continue to have unique options such as the contrast black roof. That's one of my favorite things about the Camry, and you can continue to option that on to the XSE trim level. Another thing I like about the Camry is that they don't mess around with safety. So every single version will have standard Safety Sense 2.5, and that includes all four of your main active safety features. But anyways, guys, that's it for the exterior.
If you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
All right, so let's move on to the interior. But first, of course, we'll take a look at our key fob. Typical Toyota affair, does say Camry on the back or up front of it, depending on which way you want to look at it. Standard smart entry on your X trim levels. And of course, to get inside, just grab behind the handle and that will unlock the door. Now taking a look at the interior itself. Still has a very nice looking cabin this year, although nothing has really changed in terms of the overall design. And let's talk about material and color choices. So LE comes with cloth seats, SE comes with soft tex leatherette trim seats, and then your XLE and your XSE will come with the real leather you see today. On this model, we have the choice between black, ash, or macadamia, although the XSE will substitute the macadamia for a red instead. I really like this color option though, nice creamy look to this. We've got good perforation through here and a nice accent right there at the top. As far as the seats themselves, these are gonna be 10-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we've climbed inside, let's take a look at the rest of the cabin materials. So over here on our door trim, we've got leather coming across the armrest with the color contrast stitching detail. We have leather through the center and a nice soft touch plastic along the top. I do want to point out memory seats are not available on any version of the Camry, and all 4 of our windows are one-touch automatic. Now as we move to the upper dash, we have a really nicely padded soft touch plastic. It's super squishy. And as we move to the middle section, you have this cool piece of trim that kind of bends down through here. It is going to be a faux wood for the XLE. You've got leatherette running through there, including down the console a little bit, although no leather padding along this side of the center console. Now to start it up, just put your foot on the brake and press this blue button. But like always, we'll go ahead and move in closer into a first-person perspective and take a look at the details of this interior. First of all, we have our gauge cluster arrangement. Obviously, this being a hybrid means we have some specific gauges right over there for that. Also, the XSE and XLE will have the larger 7-inch display right there in the middle. You can adjust lots of different things, including your safety systems and your head-up display if you have one equipped. We do on this model. It's a pretty good head-up display. Lots of good details in this, and it is part of the driver's assistance package. Now pulling back to the steering wheel, typical Toyota fare. It's going to be leather wrapped on the SE trim level and above. Always manual tilt and telescoping. You can also get steering wheel heating if you choose the climate package. Now as a family vehicle, you know what we have to do next. We have to check out the interior storage. So let's open up our center console here, and you'll continue to find a absolutely enormous one here with the Camry. Felt lining down there at the bottom. You also have a couple USB ports inside. And here's our coupons. Check this out. You can stick these in. I don't even have to fold them in half, so it's absolutely massive for a midsize sedan. Up in front of that, we've got our 2 cup holders. We have a wireless phone charging pad. It's available on your lower trims, standard on your upper trims, but you can also slide this back and you have a pretty deep storage area where you can hide some items, and you have another USB above that. Now let's pull back to the shifter. You have the traditional style. Just pull back for drive. You can shift through some simulated gear changes here on the hybrid by pressing to the left. When you go into reverse, you're going to find 3 different backup cameras. So you have on your lower models, a fixed trajectory. On your X models, a active trajectory. And then here on this fully loaded model with the optional driver's assist package, that's where you're going to get the 360-degree camera system that you see here today. Now, I will say the resolution on this is really not good. Definitely seems like kind of the dawn of backup cameras. So I definitely hope Toyota upgrades this when we switch over to the next generation Camry. Then back behind that, we have our electronic parking brake. It does automatically engage, and you also have a brake hold function. Now, even though it is called the driver's assist package, not every single feature inside of that is focused on assisting, although I will say ventilated seats do assist you with not having a heat stroke. That's going to be, like I said, in the driver's assistance package as optional. You do have standard heated seats on your X trim levels. You also have standard dual zone automatic climate control on all models. Very simple to use, just adjust the temperature with those knobs, and you have some physical controls down below. We also have physical controls for our audio system. So standard on all versions of the Camry Hybrid will be a 6-speaker sound system. You have an available 9-speaker JBL sound system. That's what we have optional on this model, so let's give it a sample. Overall, it's definitely a nice improvement over the standard 6-speaker sound system, but the sound quality of the JBL is very bass focused, so if you like that, then you'll like this system. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about the display and the overall technology here. So you do have a standard 7-inch display. Once you go up to the X trim levels, that'll upgrade you to the standard 9-inch display that you see here. Now, interestingly, this was the very first Toyota to get their new infotainment system called Intune 3.0. However, at this point, this is now their old infotainment system because they have a new one that's rolling out to a lot of new models, but they have not added it to the Camry. I'm assuming they're going to wait till the next generation. So, definitely going to feel a little bit old school compared to that. You do have a built-in navigation system if you choose the optional JBL audio and navigation package. Otherwise, though, you're going to be missing things like wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, although both of those features do still work when you plug in your device. Moving on up, our XLE and XSE will come with this auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. We do have LED lighting up top. And none of the Camrys will come standard with a sunroof. However, you can option on the sunroof that you see here today. Now let's go ahead and check out our rear seat. So I'll go ahead and start with space. We have 38 inches of legroom. We also have 38 inches of headroom, thanks to this nice cutout I have above my head. That is plenty of space, a lot of accommodation for whatever you need, although I will point out it is less than its chief rival, the Honda Accord. Now I'll go ahead and pull out the bendy ruler. We'll check the knee space. I'm 5'8". The seat is adjusted to be 5'8". Driving position looks like we got about 7.5 inches. So like I was saying, even though it is less than the Accord, it is still really a ton of space. I can stretch out nicely. Now, if you choose one of the X trim levels, you are going to get rear vents, but we don't have any connections down here. And we also don't have heated rear seats. That's kind of maybe a sign of the age of this vehicle because we don't have any of those connections. I think a lot of you guys will miss that. We do have a center armrest though with cup holders inside. And as we turn over here to the door trim, you're going to find the same nice materials from the front reflected back here. So we've got a soft touch material along the top, leather through the center, as well as leather along the armrest, and you have a nice place for a bottle down in the bottom. Now onto the trunk. Let's open it up. As you probably know, if you've had any Camry in the past, you have a very large trunk. It's actually going to be 15.1 cubic feet. Again, a lot of space for whatever you're going to need. Your seats can also fold down as well if you want to extend that out into the rear area. Once again, though, it is a little less than the Accord. The Accord pretty much is the space leader, but this is going to beat most of the other competition. As far as features back here, like I was saying, you can fold down the seats with these handles. We have an optional LED light, and it's really hard to get to, so I'm not going to pull it up, but there is a spare tire underneath it. A lot of hybrids do eliminate the spare tire, but rest assured, Toyota does still give you the spare tire on the hybrid, excuse me. All right, it's time to be behind the wheel of the Camry Hybrid. Of course, like always in our test drive, we're going to cover these nice pieces of information, and we're going to start things off with a hard acceleration. All right, and it was about 63 miles per hour with the Camry Hybrid. Now, you heard me mention at the spec dump, this is actually more powerful than the standard gas model, and it is, although not by a bunch. This makes 208 horsepower versus that model I believe is to 204, so 4 additional horsepower. But I think what you'll really notice more than just, a horsepower figure is the electric torque that takes you off the line. That's the big thing with the Toyota hybrids, is that you really feel like you're accelerating faster just because you can get off the line quicker before things, are going to be a little bit more leisurely after you're kind of underway, because of course it's not a sports car or anything like that. Now, the hybrid system is made up of a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine. You do have a lithium-ion battery pack and an electric motor, just to kind of recap what I said at the beginning. This is basically your typical Toyota Synergy hybrid system. Certainly a great hybrid system we found over the past week. If we're just talking about like the trade-off between the gas engine and electric power, absolutely seamless, just like it is in all Toyota models. They really are the industry experts when it comes to hybrids, and you can certainly tell that. We've already had the engine turn on and off many times in this test drive, and I bet you didn't notice unless you're really paying attention to that gauge. Now, of course, when you're accelerating hard, the engine is going to turn on. You will hear that. I will say it's a little noisy, which kind of is a common thing for Toyotas, I think. The engines are just a little bit noisy. They sound a little bit unrefined, even though you're not feeling like vibration or anything into the cabin. It's just an audible type of sensation.
And another thing you can hear with that acceleration is the fact that there are no gear changes, because every Camry hybrid comes standard with an ECVT automatic.
I did that on purpose because I wanted to demonstrate the fact that this is front-wheel drive only. So, of course, most of the other Toyotas, when you're talking about the crossovers, those are going to come with an all-wheel drive system paired with the hybrid. This is going to be front-wheel drive only. That helps it achieve a little bit better fuel economy, but does mean that if you time it right, you're turning, you really mat the throttle, you get that electric torque, you can actually get just a little bit of wheel spin, but nothing bad at all. Like I said, I was just doing that really just to be fun and demonstrate how that works. All right, so now we're up at 55 miles an hour on our nice stretch of highway. We test the sound level readings. Let's go ahead and do that.
All right. Okay, and we're going to settle at 53.9 decibels, so not a bad reading whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think it makes sense with this Camry being a hybrid. You can really tell that the engine is not doing any work right now.
Exactly. And of course the engine can turn off at any speed. One of the things I noticed is that it will turn off even at really high speeds. As long as you're under light load, they'll go ahead and turn that engine off. And then of course when you're at low speeds going around the city, the engine can stay off to a pretty decent speed. In our experience, it seems to be about 25 miles an hour, roughly, is usually when the engine will turn on.
And as far as where this Camry hybrid does rank among its competitors in this segment, it is going to take the place as the quietest in this segment, and it's going to be beating two other Toyota Camrys, so it's long been the segment leader, and it just takes its lead a little bit farther among everything else.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this just feels plenty powerful. Let's go ahead and talk about fuel economy, because, you know, more than power, of course, that's the focus of a hybrid, and I think you'll be really impressed by this. Even though this hybrid has been out for several years, the fuel economy rating is still the best in the class. So let's go ahead and talk about that.
Yeah, so now for this XLE, that trim level that we're in today, you're going to have the worst of the two ratings, if you can even call this the worst. It's going to come in at 44, 47, 46 combined. And if you go for the base LE trim level, then that's going to bump it up because of the smaller wheels. It's going to bump it up to 51, 53, 52 miles per gallon combined, which is just incredible for this standard hybrid system.
That's right, and it is, for those of you keeping track, better than the all-new Honda Accord hybrid. And I think that kind of takes me into our slam dunk and airball. I want to start with the slam dunk, and that is just how well a lot of this stuff has been aging inside of this vehicle. As we've been mentioning, this is becoming an older model. This generation has been out since 2018, yet in most ways it really doesn't feel like that. You've got a lot of really strong positives over even all new models like the Accord and refreshed Hyundai Sonata. it's just really a strong offering that continues to impress, especially after living with it for a week. I can see why they continue to sell in such high numbers. Now on the airball side of things, that's going to be the flip side of the coin. When you do have an older model, not everything can, be state of the art. One of the biggest things for us is the technology. So we noticed that the technology is certainly behind the times. The screen is, kind of crunchy, especially the backup camera is really bad. And, we definitely would like to see updated to the latest technology. I imagine Toyota will do that when that next generation model comes out, probably in the next year or so.
And to finish things off with the warranty for this Camry Hybrid, you're going to have a basic warranty of 3 years, 36,000 miles, powertrain warranty of 5 years, 60,000 miles, and Toyota will also throw in 2 years and 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance.
Now to wrap things up here, we need to talk about pricing, of course. So the prices for the hybrid are actually not all that different from your standard gasoline motor. If you're thinking about upgrading to the hybrid, your LE is going to start at $28,655. Now you have several trim levels that I mentioned throughout, leading up to our top-end XSE, which will start at $34,095. Our XLE starts a little less than that, $33,545. This specific model is fully loaded, so we've got a lot of options. The major ones are going to be the driver's assistance package and the navigation/JBL package. With destination, our total price is going to be $40,232. Well guys, we hope you enjoyed this in-depth look at the Toyota Camry Hybrid. We of course enjoyed testing this out for the last week, and it's thanks to you guys that we're able to do things like that. Because you're subscribed, Toyota will send us models and other manufacturers as well. And if you're not subscribed yet, help us out. Go down below and subscribe, because that's going to allow us to get the latest vehicles to show you guys. Also follow us on TikTok and Instagram if you haven't already. We have some merch, as you can see. And we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.